Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. And make sure you check out our website, buttfumblesports.com. Sign up for the free newsletter. You'll get all of my game picks, total plays, player prop bets, the gambling trends I like, and a number of the game notes that go into why I make the decisions that I do. So make sure you go to buttfumblesports.com and sign up for that free newsletter. That said, if you like watching our game pick videos, because we put out so much information on those, make sure you check us out on TikTok at Buttfumble Sports and on our YouTube page, Buttfumble Sports. That's where you can check out all of those videos. But if you like getting a consolidated, just the picks in one place, sign up for that free newsletter. The next game we're going to get into is the final game on Sunday, kicking off at 8:15. The 10-7 Baltimore Ravens play the 12-4 Cincinnati Bengals. This game is on NBC. Where I see it, the Bengals right now are a 6.5-point favorite. The over-under set at 43.5 points. Obviously, those could change as we learn the status of Lamar Jackson. Some gambling trends before we go around and break it down. The road team is 6-2-1 against the spread in the last 9 meetings between the two teams. The Ravens are 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 playoff road games, while the Bengals are 9-1-1 against the spread in their last 11 home games. As for the total, the under is 5-1 in the Ravens' last 6 games overall. The under is 4-0 in the Bengals' last 4 playoff home games, and the under is 4-0 in the Ravens' last 4 playoff games. Adam, what are your thoughts on this AFC North game we just saw a week ago? Will there be a different outcome in this revamped version of Ravens-Bengals?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. It all comes down to who's going to be playing quarterback for Baltimore. It sure, unless they're playing a big game of cat and mouse, it sure doesn't seem like Lamar Jackson is going to be able to go. Huntley was inactive last week. I'm not sure if they were just giving him 100% rest to bring him back. Brown was not good, threw 2 interceptions. As Cincinnati converted into points. Baltimore being second in the run, obviously, but that also has a lot to do with Lamar Jackson. And Huntley can run the football, but this is obviously a completely different offense on Baltimore with those guys at the helm. Defensively, they did hold Mixon to 27 and Kenyon Drake to 60 yards last week and Burrow to 215 in the touchdown. Now, whether it was a vanilla game plan for Cincinnati or not, they did play the starters. Jamar Chase did have 86 yards in the touchdown, but I think Baltimore's defense did play pretty decent, especially if you're giving up 2 interceptions. For that game to be 27-16 actually was pretty impressive. So I don't know if that's a good way, a good way to look at this game for Baltimore or a bad way to look at it for Cincinnati. Baltimore's just been a roller coaster all year. They've been up and down. They've had injuries. The Lamar Jackson cloud's been hanging over them all year long. Cincinnati's now 1-8. They're at home. This number -7. I can very easily see Cincinnati covering this number. I just like the way Baltimore's defense played this last week. But ultimately, for me, this game, to make a play in this game is going to come back down to the quarterback who's playing for Baltimore and if you can lay these points or not. This is the biggest money public backing on the board with 86% of the money on the spread for Cincinnati, and the money line is 94% of the money is on Cincinnati. So obviously this is the biggest game on the board for Cincinnati to cover, even more than Buffalo. I guess my question, Wyatt, for you would be, let's say this is a -7 and they say Lamar Jackson isn't playing. I'm guessing this line is set for Lamar Jackson not to play. How many points is Lamar Jackson worth if he does play? Does this drop to a 5.5 or a 4.5?
Well, not just that. Do I think it's worth 2.5 points in his favor or 3 points in his favor? Absolutely. But to me, because what you're really saying is he's good for at least one drive to get you closer, one drive to get you one score closer. But I'll even pick up kind of where you're passing the baton, which is whether it's Lamar Jackson or Tyler Huntley, who's going to be quarterbacking the Ravens. This is a trap game for me. This is one of the games of this wild card weekend in which I think Vegas is setting everyone up to take the Bengals. These two teams just saw each other. The Bengals played a number of their stars. Well, obviously the Ravens are in the situation they're in. So I'm curious to know how this game will play out. There's a part of me that likes the Ravens to cover this game because they're going to play it really dirty. And what I mean by that isn't necessarily dirty, ugly play, just roughing it up, grinding it out on the ground, being aggressive on defense, being very physical on defense, trying to attack some of these receivers at the line of scrimmage, just get it really choppy. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of flags in this game. So for a lot of reasons, I think this game could be a lot closer than people think. And I think Vegas and that public money statistic that you just provided, I think all of this is setting it up as one giant trap game. It has me a bit concerned. I won't get to my pick just yet. I'll wait. I'll let Lope go next. Lope, what are your thoughts on this game between the Ravens and the Bengals?
Well, yeah, these AFC North games are always kind of seem like hard hitting and kind of mucky. So the under is a play I'm looking at, but I just with Lamar Jackson out for so long, and even if he does come back, to get back into rhythm, how much he's going to run around. I feel like there might be some kind of rift. The news is that Roquan Smith came out and that he was representing himself and he got paid. So I don't trust the Ravens right now. There seems to be maybe some internal things going. Meanwhile, the Bengals are red hot. They made this run last year, and I think they're doing everything they can to get to the next round. So I think the Bengals is a safe money line play. As far as the spread, I'm with you. I could see it being a field goal or two field goal game where they miss it by a little bit, but I think the under is a safe way to go here.
And kickers may be a big factor in this one. Justin Tucker, he is maybe the greatest kicker in history. We have seen him not as productive this year, but still in a playoff game, you have to feel very confident about him. While McPherson, he was the darling of the playoffs last year. He's been very inconsistent this year. If you've been watching the Cincinnati Bengals, he is not as sure a bet as he was last year. So in terms of kicking game, that still is a plus in favor of the Ravens. Obviously, a number of other things go in favor of the Bengals. Just to bring up that point about Roquan Smith that Lope brought up, I think there is a rift between the Ravens and Lamar Jackson over his injury. It kind of reminds me of Kawhi Leonard with the Spurs years ago. The player thinks he shouldn't be rushed back. The team thinks he should be back playing quickly. That's always going to exist between labor and management. But the Roquan Smith, I don't think feeds into that. I actually think it sets up the Ravens franchise tagging Lamar Jackson. That they couldn't franchise tag both players. They wanted to keep Roquan Smith. They traded capital to get him from the Chicago Bears. He is an outstanding linebacker. They signed him to a couple years. They set that up. They take care of it. And now it means the franchise tag is available to them to keep Lamar Jackson. That's how I think it's going to play out. So whether the player and team have beef, I don't think that's going to change anything, at least for another year. Getting back to this game between the Ravens and the Bengals, much like Lope and Adam said, I do like Cincinnati on the money line. I think it's an easy play. I think Joe Burrow is a killer. As he said in his post-game press conference last week, what's his window? His career. This guy is Tom Brady level killer assassin. He is just outstanding. He knows how to win football games in clutch moments in college, in high school, in the pros, in the playoffs. It doesn't matter. So I like Joe Burrow this week. But as you can hear, this is one where I feel like Vegas is setting me up a little bit. These two teams know each other. We mentioned throughout the season countless times when divisional opponents play each other and there is a road team that's getting a touchdown or more spread, it usually covers that underdog spread. So there's a part of me that feels this way. The Ravens just saw this team. Are they going to get blown out? I don't think so. I think it's going to be closer the second time around in a 2-week span of time. So for that reason, I like Cincinnati on the money line. And I like Cincinnati on the money line. I like Baltimore to cover. I'm going to buy the 1.5 to make sure I cash that ticket. And I like the under in this one. I think the defenses are going to be better. The second time you see a team, I think the defense is better. They know a bit more. They can anticipate a bit more. And again, it was just a week ago. So I'm going to lean towards the under in this one. That'll be the play for me. Obviously, that could change if Lamar Jackson does play. But for now, I'm treating it like he won't. The fact that he hasn't been practicing, as Lope said, for over a month, it just has me concerned. I don't see him getting back and being as effective, even if he gets back on the field. So I'm going to lean towards the under. Adam, just to make sure I got your pick right, could you just share it one more time with everybody?
Yeah, I'm much like you, Wyatt. I like Cincinnati money line, but I absolutely think Baltimore and the points that could be a very strong play in this game.
Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. And make sure you check out our website, buttfumblesports.com, where you can sign up for a free newsletter that provides all of my game picks in one consolidated place, including the gambling trends and game notes that go into those picks, whether it's the game pick, total play, or player prop bet. It's everything you need to cash your tickets if you're at least trailing me on an NFL weekend. The last game that we have for this